All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory, not to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Wakar Kadash, and Heavenly Father. True name is Yahweh, and His only begotten Son, Bahashem, in the name of Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai. Those are the true names in ancient Hebrew, Balash Kadash, the root tongue. And I say Brakathum to the elders and apostles of Akim, Ba'akwa, and I say Shalom. And this is a sit-down lesson of the World War III news updates as of June 7th, 2026 on this Sunday afternoon. So I'll keep for a second. And this is from the Associated Press. As you've been seeing, the ongoing rise of tensions been heating up between Russia and Ukraine. It says what to know, what you need to know. It says, this is 2 hours ago. It says the European leaders voice urgent need to bolster Ukraine's defense against ballistic missiles. It says the leaders of the UK, Ukraine, France, and Germany discussed the urgent need to ramp up production of weapons to combat Russia's most powerful hypersonic warship missiles in a meeting in London on Sunday. Yep, Edomite nations. This is from updated 50. Yep, updated at 5:02 p.m. June the 7th. It says the leaders of the UK, Ukraine, France, and Germany discussed the urgent need to ramp up production of weapons to combat Russia's powerful hypersonic warship missiles in a meeting in London on Sunday. British Prime Minister Starmer hosts the Ukraine leader Vladimir Zelensky and French President and German Chancellor at the 10 Downing Street. It says in a statement released, Starmer officials followed their evening leaders condemned the Russian large-scale missile and drone attacks, including the repeated use of warship missiles. It says the Ukraine cities with a total tragedy on civilians. They also condemned Russia's irresponsible and dangerous Russian drone incursions into the NATO territory, including last month in Romania. Russia has stepped up its aerial campaign against Ukraine recently, most notable with the launch of warship missiles. It says that the leaders underline the urge to need to scale up the protection and interceptors and co-develop anti-ballistic missiles and deep strikes capability. The leaders say no details, financial or otherwise, on how this will be done and provided. It says Ukraine's shortages of air defense, in part because the depletion of U.S. stocks during the Iran war has left civilians especially vulnerable to the ballistic missiles. Even Kyiev's defense stopped most of Moscow drones, and its forces have made advances elsewhere on the battlefield. The worries for Ukraine is that the Iran war, which had been absent for weeks, have made now reignite after the Iran missiles on Sunday at Israel, in the first such bombardment since the fragile ceasefire took place in early April. The complication meditation efforts for a deal to end the war. Following the meeting in London, European leaders called on Russia's President Vladimir Putin to agree to immediate and complete ceasefire, which that's not going to happen. It says, what's the current lines of contact and starting point for any negotiations? It says the UK, France, and Germany, the so-called three of European nations, have been prompted backers of the Ukraine following the full-scale invasion, Russia's full-scale invasion in February 2022. UK and France, leaders of the coalition, is willingly to initiative to provide a security guarantees for Ukraine as part of the peace process. This is the book of recaps the book of Matthew, the 24th chapter. Matthew 24 verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. Right, so that's what Yahushua spoke about when he spoke to the disciples at their model outlets 2,000 years ago. Now it's being referenced in these times of uptick of nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. And that's what we see in the modern day times. Russia versus Ukraine, of the nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. And this is the book of Mark chapter 3 and verse 24, because we see the division between these armies of Edomite nations. It says, and if a kingdom be divided, except the kingdom not stand. Right, that's what we see in the division between Esau and Edom. This is Revelation 17 in verse 16. It says, the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast shall hate the whore. Right, that's what we're seeing. Even though it's been on and off back and forth, but it's starting to show forth that as of recently. It says, and they shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and shall burn her with fire. And this is Mark 13 and verse 8. For nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, goes into ethnos, and there shall be earthquakes in diverse places, and be famines and troubles. These are the beginning of sorrows. Right, so these are the beginning stages of what's more about to come, especially with these up and down, back and forth balance scale of wars and rumors of wars. We're still going to continue to see it increasing as the days progresses on. So as it says again, this is from the Associated Press. It says European leaders voice urgent need to bolster Ukraine's defense against ballistic missiles. Right, Russia's Orshin ballistic missiles. They're more advanced ballistic missiles, Orshin missiles. And this is the book of Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, because Russia, they still in that increasing warlike mindset. Ezekiel chapter 38 verse 4. It says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and will bring thee forth from all thy army, horse and horsemen. All of them clothed with it says all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company of shields, all of them having swords. Right, so Russia, they still gonna be in that warlike mindset. And the Heavenly Father continue to put the hooks and back to jaws against Russia, as the prophet Ezekiel has mentioned. And that's what we are seeing. So with that, Salaki. So with that, this was just a quick sit-down lesson of the World War III news updates as of June the 7th, 2026, on this Sunday afternoon, as we still going to continue to see escalation heating up between Russia and Ukraine, and these wars and rumors of wars, nation against nation, on a daily basis. That's still going to continue to increase. So with that, hopefully this was edifying World War III news updates as of June the 7th, 2026, on this Sunday afternoon. So with that, all praise and glory be to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, Wakar and the Heavenly Father. True name is Yahweh, and His unbegotten Son, Ba'Hashem. In the name of Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai, those are the true names in the ancient Paleo-Hebrew, the logical tongue. And I say Barakatham to the elders and apostles with Akim and Aqua. Until next time, I would say Kwame Sharala and the Baba Ball. And Shabbat Shalom.